Krishnam Narayanam Vande, Krishnam Vande Vrajapriyam, Krishnam Dvaipayanam Vande, Krishnam Vande Pratasukam, Satchidananda Rupaya Vishpotpatyadi Hetave, Tapatraya Vinashaya, Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Today happens to be a very auspicious day, the day of Mahalaya Amavasya. We can call it in the modern lingo as Pitru's Day. We all celebrate the Western style, Father's Day, Mother's Day, and so on. We have to celebrate today as the Pitru's Day. Very, very auspicious day. Bhadrapada Masa, Krishna Paksha is celebrated as Pitru Paksha. Garuda Purana beautifully describes the significance of this time in a year, when the Pitruloka literally opens and gets closer to Bhuloka. And that is the reason why we are expected to use that opportunity to express our gratitude by performing the Pitru Shraddha during this Krishna Paksha of Bhadrapada Masa. And this, as this Krishna Paksha ends with Mahalaya Amavasya, it sets the stage for the next phase, which is also auguring Navaratri. So we express gratitude to our Pitrus to prepare ourselves to immerse in Bhagavad Dhyana during Navaratri. Navaratri is meant for Bhagavad Dhyana following the Navavida Bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam. If we can adopt one mode of bhakti every day of Navaratri, we possibly would fulfill the purpose of celebrating Navaratri. And it is no divine coincidence that we resume satsang after a break, short or long, depends how we look at it, on a very auspicious day. And we also begin a beautiful journey. We all spent 10 years journeying through Bhagavad Gita. Now, Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters, 700 shlokas. And we spent almost 10 years, or rather precisely 10 years. We started satsang in February, and we finished the 18th chapter, the Charama Shloka, on the day of January 1st, 10th year. So it took 10 years, finishing 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. Now, Skanda 11, Ekadasha Skanda of Bhagavata, has Uddhava Gita. So we are about to begin another beautiful journey, another Gita called Uddhava Gita, which has 23 chapters and 1030 shlokas. So we have to start doing calculations. For 700 shlokas, 18 chapters, if we had taken 10 years, all start to wonder. Now we have to commit another possibly 15 years to complete Uddhava Gita. That is not the way we are going to do Uddhava Gita. We will do a deep dive, no doubt. But unlike, as we have already, that's a big assumption, we've already built the foundation of Bhagavad Gita, and more or less we have completed the foundational aspects of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and we have also extensively discussed the tattvas, dealing with Uddhava Gita becomes easier. Now, Uddhava Gita is a lot more complicated than Bhagavad Gita. While it is a beautiful admixture of philosophy and also historical accounts, Uddhava Gita presents a formidable challenge to unravel some of the teachings. But for those of us who have journeyed through the Bhagavad Gita, it becomes an easier task to understand and decode the teachings of Krishna to Uddhava in the Uddhava Gita. So therefore, maybe we don't need another 10 plus years, maybe 9 years, maybe 7 years. We will see. I do not know. Maybe even 1 year. It depends. We will go with the flow and we will see how we will journey through this beautiful segment of Bhagavatam. The Ekadasha Skanda of Bhagavatam essentially is where Krishna is winding up. We also have to prepare ourselves because Krishna Avatara will end in 11th Skanda. So maybe after all we don't want to complete 11th Skanda. We don't want Krishna to go back. But through the teachings of Krishna to Uddhava, we also understand how we can ensure that he remains with us, continues to stay with us. But we see in 11th Skanda the preparation for Krishna winding up. After all, he is Leeladhari. Everything he does is Leela. He is Ranganatha and this world is his Ranga, his stage, where he orchestrated Atimanusha Cheshtitas. We have through the Dashamaskanda relished all his glorious Leelas. There is one more Leela that still remains, the concluding Leela. Now that is the Leela which Krishna uses as a trigger for the director of the play, the cosmic play, to wind up the stage. So it's time to wind up, to clear up the stage, and Krishna does it with precision. No character is left behind. Now, when the play gets over, the stage has to be cleaned. No props can remain. Now, Krishna does a beautiful act of cleaning up the stage. So we see the preparation for the culmination of the cosmic play that began with Krishna's descent. No, Krishna's descent is a Atimanusha Cheshtita, is not an ordinary birth. We cannot call Krishna's descent as Krishna Janma. Similarly, Krishna's ascent is also Atimanusha. We cannot ascribe his ascent to death like we normally talk about. That is also extraordinary. Now he is preparing for the ascent to Vaikuntha. Because his mission, more or less, is now complete. The Kuru dynasty has been completely eliminated. The Kurus and all the other kingdoms had been completely wiped out. Dharma was once again established. Dharma was arrested. And as Krishna was preparing for that culmination of his Leela, he then enacted another Leela, which is celebrated as Mausala Leela. Musala means club, iron club. Mausala Leela. Skanda 11 begins on a very dramatic note. It starts with a very interesting drama. The drama of a curse. And who are cursed? The Yadus, the Yadavas, Krishna's own family. We may all wonder why the 11th Skanda, which contains Uddhava Gita, which is a gem of all gems, Why should it begin with a curse? So Krishna uses the curse as a vyaja to demonstrate ultimate detachment. In many ways, Uddhava Gita is all about renunciation. And we see Krishna repeatedly demonstrate how to practice renunciation. In many ways, Krishna Avatara is an avatara where Bhagavan repeatedly shows how to renounce, how to stay detached. And we see that even his very dear family is not exempt from this. All the kingdoms of Bharatavarsha have been wiped out. The Mahabharata war concluded. Not only the Kauravas, all the kingdoms where adharma was on the rise. That was the mission, to remove the burden on Mother Earth. That was the mission of Krishna Avatara. So that mission got fulfilled, but still the Yadavas were still flourishing. Yadavas became invincible, and with pride and pomp, the Yadavas also got into intoxication. They got intoxicated with pride. They also got intoxicated with liquor. Both kinds of intoxication. And Krishna did not spare his own family. And therefore, he had to find a vyaja to eliminate even the Yadukula. Now again, we see how 11th skanda begins with demonstration of the highest form of renunciation. Krishna renouncing his very own clan. But this is not something new to Krishna. If he can renounce the gopis of Vraja, renouncing Yadavas is literally a child's play for him. Of course, Krishna never renounced the gopis. It was more external renunciation. So therefore, Mausala Leela is triggered by Krishna. What is Mausala Leela? All the sages and rishis were invited to a holy place called Pindaraka on the outskirts of Dwaraka, in a holy land called Pindaraka. All sages, all rishis, there was a congregation that happened, including Narada. All the rishis assembled there for a grand yajna to be performed. Now, Vichitra Ishvara Ichha, the Yadava boys, including Krishna's very son, Samba, decided to play a dirty prank on the very sages who were invited to perform the yajna. And what was the prank that they played? All these boys, overcome by pride of youthhood, they decided to dress up Samba as a lady, not as an ordinary lady, but as a pregnant lady, stuffing his garments in such a way that he looked like a pregnant lady carrying a child in her womb. And they paraded this Samba dressed up as a lady in front of the rishis in Pindaraka, and they approached the ladies and they played a prank asking the rishis to bless this pregnant woman. And in the process, they also sought their advice and they sought a boon. What would be the child? What would be a male child or a female child? They asked for the blessings of the child, for the child. The ensnared rishis, the Brahmanas, cursed then and there. May the child be a musala. May this lady, the so-called lady, bear a musala in her womb. The Yadu boys were shocked. They were taken aback. This was not what they expected. And the curse turned out to be true. The moment they lifted the garments around Samba, they actually found a musala, an iron club. And they did not know what to do with it. Now they were scared. They were gripped with fear of this curse. And the curse was also that this very club will be the cause for the destruction of your clan. And all these boys came running to Ugrasena and they narrated the whole incident. Ugrasena too was in fear. He immediately arranged for this iron club to be grounded to powder and thrown in the ocean. And when this iron club, the musala, was grounded to powder, there was one small lump of this club that was left. It was not properly grounded. And when it was thrown into the sea, the small piece of iron was swallowed by a fish. Now, the powdered iron was then swept by the waves of the ocean, reached the shore, and then eventually grew into a grove of canes. And it is this grove of canes which would eventually be the cause for the downfall, for the very end of Yadukula. Now, there was this small piece of iron that was also thrown into the sea, into the ocean, that was swallowed by a fish. And eventually that fish was caught by a fisherman called Jara. And then he happened to find this piece of iron, and then he made use of that for making an arrow with a sharp edge, using that iron piece. What would that arrow eventually do? We will see. And how this grove of canes would be the cause for the Yadukula would also to be seen. But it is understood by everyone that that grove of canes is going to be the cause for the downfall, the elimination of Yadukula. Now, there are also ominous portents everywhere in Dwaraka. Everybody could sense that something is going wrong. Something wrong is going to happen. And everyone is concerned. The elders are concerned. The youngsters are in fear. And it is during that time that all the devatas also realized that it is time now to approach Krishna. They also realized that Krishna Avatara is going to come to an end very soon. And all the devatas descended in Dwaraka. Narada was also present. Brahma, Shiva, and all the devatas assembled in Dwaraka, and then they approached Krishna. And looking at, once they approached Krishna, they first expressed their gratitude. We must remember how Krishna Avatara began. Krishna Avatara began when all the devatas assembled in Kshiravati, praying to Krishna for his descent. Now, the same assembly happened now in Dwaraka. They all approached. Sri Deva Uchuhu Natasmate Nata Padaravindam Buddhindriya Prana Manovachobihi Yachintyate Antarhriti Bhava Yuktaihi Mukshubihi Karma Mayorupashat Mukshubihi Karma Mayorupashat. All the devas prostrating to Krishna. The Bhagavan Nathasma. Sma here means or shows they are in awe. So all the devatas have been witness to all the Krishna Cheshtitas. And now, standing in front of Krishna, in proximity, they were able to relish that enchanting form of Krishna. They were in awe. And for a moment, they were thinking how blessed people on Bhuloka were that Bhagavan presented his true self, his true form to mortal beings. And they were in a state of awe. Natasmate, Nata Padaravindam. Hey Krishna, we bow down to your lotus feet, to your Padaravinda. And how do we bow down? Buddhindriya Prana Manovachobihi. And as we bow down, we surrender to your lotus feet our buddhi, our intelligence, our indriyas, our senses, our prana, the very life force, mana, our mind, our speech. Yachintyate antarhridi bhava yuktaihi. Also, when we prostrate, when we fall down, and when we do namaskara, while we offer our mind, intelligence, senses, life force, our very speech to Bhagavan, what is also equally important, that there must also be love that must be added. It is not just about reverence, it is a combination of reverence with intense love. Antarhridi bhava yuktaihi, making the heart the true temple and lighting the lamp of devotion in the heart. We prostrate to you. Just like how all the mumukshus surrender to your lotus feet, the devatas are surrendering to Bhagavan. Mumukshubihi karma mayorupashat. All the seekers of liberation, mumukshu, do the exact surrender to your lotus feet, knowing that it is your lotus feet that can be the cause for liberation from the bondage of karma. There's a beautiful phrase here, karma mayoru pashat. Pasha means noose made of rope. Now, urupashat means great noose, which means which cannot be easily escaped, very strong. But they did not just say urupasha, they say karma mayoru pashat. Karma maya. This pasha is not made of thread. It is not thread maya pasha. It is karma maya pasha. So if the question is asked, who put this noose around our necks? We ourselves put this pasha around our necks. We weave this pasha out of our own karma. This is a pasha, and most often we weave it so very tightly that it is almost inescapable, and we remain in that pasha. We cannot extricate ourselves. This is our own making. Think of it as, why would anybody put a noose around their own neck? It is only a fool who would put it and even tighten it. But that is exactly what we do. That is how we stay trapped in samsara. So therefore, the mumukshus realize, how do we extricate from this karma mayorupashat? How do we extricate from this inescapable grip of karma, the pasha of our actions and our consequences? The only way that we can escape is to surrender to Bhagavan's Padaravinda. Surrendering to that, then Brahma addresses Krishna, Bhumer Bharavataraya. Bhagavan, in order to remove the burden of Mother Earth, this is exactly why they asked Bhagavan Narayana to descend as Krishna. Bhumer Bharavataraya. Pura Vijnapitah Prabho. In the past, in the recent past, it's only recent past. Because Krishna Avatara, the span of the Avatara is only 125 years. So when they say Pura, just 125 years back, Bhagavan, it's been 125 years since you started walking. Just imagine how blessed people were in Dwapara Yuga, how blessed Mother Earth was, that Bhagavan descended from Vaikuntha and with his divine lotus feet, he blessed several parts of Bharatavarsha. Now, Bhumer Bharavataraya, Pura Vijnapitah Prabho. Hey Prabho, in the recent past, we made an ardent submission to you to descend and remove the burden of Mother Earth. Tvam asmabhir aseshatman tat tathaiva upapaditam. And acceding to our request, you did descend. Now, here beautifully, Brahma says, Tvam asmabhihi aseshatman tat tathaiva upapaditam. You fulfilled our wish. Brahma is saying, all the devatas had a wish that the burden of Mother Earth had to be removed. But Bhagavan, you are aseshatman. In the process of descending to fulfill our wish, you ended up fulfilling everybody's wish. He descended in Mathura, he fulfilled the wish of Vasudeva and Devaki and became their very son. He moved on to Gokula, fulfilled the wish of Yashoda Maya and Nanda to become their son. He fulfilled the wish of the Gopikas of Vraja and spent time with them. He fulfilled the wish of the Pandavas and protected them. He fulfilled the wish of several people. So therefore, in the process of fulfilling our wish, you are aseshatman. You know the needs of everyone, and therefore he is Aseshatman, because the one who embraces everyone. We are all in his embrace all the time, and therefore he knows, he intimately is associated with each and every one of us. So we don't need to ask him what we need, because he knows more than us what we need. And in the process of fulfilling our wish, you ended up fulfilling through Krishna Avatara. It is not one cheshtita that you did, hey Bhagavan, you did several cheshtitas, and every cheshtita of Krishna Avatara ended up fulfilling wishes of many of your bhaktas. Therefore, we express your gratitude to you, hey Krishna. Dharmascha sthapitaha sastu satyasandheshu vaitvaya. You have re-established the principles of dharma, and also you have given the strength to all the satyasandhas, all the satya purushas now derive strength, because now they see that adharma cannot be on the ascent all the time. Order will be restored. This is the beauty of Bhagavan's creation. You may sometimes think, we may look around and say, why is adharma always on the ascent? It is not always. Adharma can never be on the ascent all the time, because Bhagavan repeatedly restores order. He always makes the balancing act, and therefore he says, Satyasandheshu vaitvaya kirtischa dikshu vikshipta sarvaloka malapaha. Also, in the process of your descent, you also disseminated your glories. Thanks to your descent, the world is also purified, because now all your cheshtitas, all your leelas are sources for purification. You have disseminated your glories everywhere, and those glories become a source of eternal purification for humankind. Avatirya yadorvamse vibradrupam anuttamam. You descending in the Yadukula, you manifesting your own transcendental form. You did not use some other form. No. Krishna Avatara, Narayana descended. Yesha Narayana Srivan Kshiranavaniketanaha Agaparikam Mustista Agato Mathurapuri. He just descended in his own original form with that Divya Mangala Vigraha. You chose the Yadukula. Avatirya Yadorvamse Vibrat Rupamanuttamam Harmani Uddhama Vrittani Hitaya Jagatokrataha. For the entire benefit of the entire universe, you did Atimanusha Shilavritta Veshehi, Ativrittamara Vikrama Pratapaihi, Atilangita Sarvaloka Samyam, Varaye Vaishnava Vaivavataram. Therefore, we express our gratitude to you, hey Krishna. And we have one request that we need to make. Now that 125 years have been completed, your mission is almost complete. We are also aware of the Mausala Leela that you have just enacted. We also see that you are preparing to wind up, and make your ascent. We all submit to you now, and if you will, then you can complete the mission, because they made the submission for the descent to happen. So therefore, all the devatas together, they come and once again they make the submission. If you will, and if you think it is the appropriate time, you can make your ascent back to Vaikuntha. Krishna smiles. He says, I have been expecting this visit from you all. And therefore, he says, I have already started the process of my ascent in terms of, and by using the curse of the Brahmanas as a Vyaja. In a matter of 7 days, Dwaraka will be inundated. Dwaraka will be lost forever. And also, clan of Yadus will be completely eliminated. And therefore, he says, I'm preparing, and he says, then he instructs, he brings all the ministers, the kings, everyone of the Edukula, and says, all of us know we have been expecting some ominous trends. We have been seeing ominous portents everywhere. Let us all move from Dwaraka to Prabhasa Kshetra, where we can once again do an yajna in order to thwart anything dangerous that might potentially happen. Now, all the Yadavas were worried already, because the curse is looming as a threat, and they were all waiting for a solution. Now they all realize that possibly this is the only way out. So all the Yadavas now prepare. They all move, and they also now realize that something is going to also happen to Dwaraka. So they all now know somebody who can move from Mathura, abandon Mathura and come to Dwaraka will also abandon Dwaraka soon. So they all prepare, and all the Yadavas move from Dwaraka to Prabhasa Kshetra. And as this move happens, there is one who is really troubled. Everybody else is focused on survival. All the other Yadavas are working on how to go, how to perform that yajna and Prabhasa Kshetra, take the snana and do all the rituals that are prescribed, and everyone is focusing on those arrangements. There is one who is really dejected, because looking around, he senses what is going on. He senses that Krishna finally is preparing for the ascent. That is none other than the illustrious Uddhava. Uddhava senses this. Uddhava is dejected. It is now Uddhava approaches Krishna, and the conversation that ensues between Uddhava and Krishna is celebrated as Uddhava Gita. Uddhava Gita has many other names. It is also called Avadhuta Gita. It is also called Hamsa Gita. But whereas Avadhuta Gita and Hamsa Gita are portions of Uddhava Gita, Uddhava Gita is generally this conversation between Arjuna, between Uddhava and Krishna is called Uddhava Gita. Now, interestingly, Bhagavad Gita is also a conversation. It's a samvada between Arjuna and Krishna. But interestingly, it is not called Arjuna Gita. Whereas the conversation between Uddhava and Krishna is not called Bhagavad Gita, it is called Uddhava Gita. That itself must tell us the significance of Uddhava, the greatness of Uddhava, Uddhava as the supreme bhakta. When Krishna says, Etu dharmyamritamidam yatoktam paryupasate shaddadhana matparamaha bhaktaste ativa me priyaha. That bhakta who is rooted in the dharma of bhakti, who is connected to me, nitya yuktaha, eka bhaktihi, who is immersed in Krishna bhakti, with is completely absorbed in Krishna, that supreme bhakta is most dear to me, he says. And if we need one example, it is Uddhava. Ativa me priya, the dearest bhakta to Krishna, that Uddhava. That is the reason why this samvada is called Uddhava Gita. Bhagavad Gita happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It's happened amidst a war. Uddhava Gita also happened amidst a war, but this is a different kind of a war, the war of separation. Uddhava was unable to bear the separation of Krishna. The very thought that soon Krishna is going to go away, Uddhava was unable to accept it. The pangs of separation was too much for him to bear. He was roasted in the fire of separation, and therefore this is another kind of a war where Uddhava Gita happened. Bhagavad Gita happened right at the dawn of the war of Kurukshetra. Uddhava Gita happened at the dusk of the Krishna Avatara. In the case of Bhagavad Gita, the objective of Krishna was to initiate action, to empower Arjuna to act, do his duty. In the case of Uddhava Gita, the objective of Krishna is to enable cultivation of renunciation and bhakti, leading to moksha. In many ways, Uddhava Gita is Moksha Gita. There is a good amount of discussion that happens on moksha and moksha sadhana. So therefore, Uddhava Gita is philosophically very rich. But also the interesting part of Uddhava Gita is it is also filled with several historical accounts. So there is also lot of storytelling, lots of narration of different characters that happen. And that's where it is very different to Bhagavad Gita. Whereas Bhagavad Gita is purely philosophical with lots of practical tools and frameworks added. The case of Uddhava Gita, it is an exhaustive philosophical account. Sometimes the philosophy in Uddhava Gita is a lot more complicated. The metaphysics in Uddhava Gita is a lot more complicated. But it also is made interesting with a lots of narration on various stories, various historical accounts that get added. So the journey becomes a lot more enjoyable and relishable too. Uddhava senses that Krishna is preparing. Now, Uddhava approaches Krishna. Uddhava vacha. Deva, Deva Devesha, Yogesha, Punya Shravana Kirtana. The Sambhashana is so very beautiful. Unlike Arjuna, who spent 3/4 of the time in the Gita asking all kinds of questions without realizing who Krishna was. It took 11 chapters eventually for Arjuna to realize Krishna. But then in the case of Uddhava, we see right from the beginning, he knew who Krishna was. So therefore, the way Uddhava addresses Krishna in this Samvada is so very beautiful. So every word, every sentence that Uddhava speaks is loaded with intimate love. We can see that bhakti of Uddhava in everything that he speaks to Krishna. Deva, Deva Devesha, Yogesha, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Samhrutyaitat Kulam Nyunam, Lokam Santyakshate Bhavan, Viprashapam Samathopi, Tatyahna Yat Ishvaraha. Santyakshate, you are about to give up everything. I can see that. So Uddhava, another beautiful thing is, Uddhava, also like Arjuna, is related. Both are Dehabandhus to Krishna. Uddhava is the son of Devabhaga. Devabhaga happens to be Vasudeva's brother. So therefore, Krishna is related to Uddhava. Uddhava is Krishna's cousin, maternal or paternal cousin. We also know Arjuna is son of Pritha. Pritha is sister of Vasudeva. So again, they are also cousins. In English, everybody is a cousin. Everybody is an uncle. That relationship is not properly qualified. But anyway, now both are Dehabandhus, both also are Atmabandhus. And one more additional qualification for Uddhava when compared to Arjuna. Uddhava was a Xerox copy of Krishna. We, not recently, some time back, if we rewind, we saw just before Brahmar Gita happened, when Uddhava visited Raja, everybody, including Yashoda, mistook Uddhava to be Krishna. Uddhava is equally beautiful. This again shows when moksha happens, all of us also become equally beautiful. This is another beauty of moksha. The beauty of moksha is we are in that state of Brahmananda where we become Narayana-like. Now, Uddhava already is Narayana-like on Bhuloka even before moksha. Another significance of Uddhava and how supremely, devoted he was to Krishna. Now, therefore, he could sense, he was Atmasakha to Krishna, and everything that happened, he knew what was happening. The Mausala Leela that Krishna did, and all this travel from Dwaraka to Prabhasa Kshetra, everything that is going on, he could sense what was going on. Therefore, hey Krishna, there is one thing you cannot hide from me. You are about to give up once and for all everything. Hey Deva Devesha, hey Yogesha, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Samhrityaitat Kulam Nyunam. You are about to withdraw the entire Yadukula itself. I know now that you have decided to eliminate, wipe out our own Kula, our own Yadukula, and all your pastimes, all your Leelas are coming to an end. But I already see that your ascent is imminent. It is going to happen anytime. And that exactly is what is the cause of botheration for me. I cannot reconcile, I cannot accept that sooner or later you're going to move away, you're going to ascend. I'm not going to see you anymore. Naham tavangri kamalam shanardham api Keshava. Keshava, shanardham. Naham tavangri kamalam. Without, I cannot even for a moment, I can stay separated from your lotus feet, hey Keshava. Uddhava is a great example as to how every jivatma is like a fish in the ocean, not realizing that it is inseparable from the ocean and searching for the ocean. Every jivatma is searching for the Paramatma, like the fish searching for water in the ocean. Uddhava realizes that and he says, Shanardham, even for a moment, I cannot bear your separation. Shanardham api Keshava tyaktum samutsahe nata swadhamanayamam api. I know that you are preparing to go to Vaikuntha. Can you also take me along with you? Hey Krishna. Who will ask this question? Just imagine Narayana appearing here and says, my dear Bhaktas, for last 11-12 years, you have all been in satsang. I know you have completed 700 shlokas of Gita. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharana. You are chanting every day. I know you are all well prepared. Please pack up, come with me. Time to go to Vaikuntha. Let's go. We'll start thinking. Narayana, can you give us some time? We will possibly discuss and then come back to you with a roadmap, with a plan. We will give you a plan, a timeline. Uddhava is not like that. Now, Arjuna, after 700 slokas of Gita, he said, Krishna, thank you very much. Arjuna was really thankful. Thank you very much, Krishna, for this wisdom that you have given me. See you later. I'm very busy now. I have to go do my duties as a Kshatriya along with Yudhishthira, rule the kingdom. That is what Arjuna said. Arjuna never said, hey Bhagavan, now that everything is done, whatever you have said, I have assimilated, internalized, I will follow you now. Arjuna never said. Not only that, after a long time, Krishna again meets Arjuna. We will see that later towards the... And what happened? Arjuna goes back to Krishna and says, Krishna, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it seems, there was an interesting conversation you and I had. You said something very interesting, something very wonderful. Can you, give a quick recap to me? All of us are like that. 10 years back, we started with Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. What is Dharma Kshetra? What is Kurukshetra? Can we once again do a... Arjuna did that. The very Arjuna who was chosen for Bhagavan to impart Gita goes back to Krishna and says, Krishna, I completely forgot whatever you taught. And what did Krishna do? I know, Arjuna, this is exactly what you will do. This is what exactly happened. Let me do a recap for you. He again does a recap, which is celebrated as Anugita. At some other point in time, we will take up Anugita. Krishna did not do it with a grudge. Hey, Arjuna, he did not start with Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. No, he again with all love, compassion, once again started the basics. Hey Arjuna, there is Atma, there is Paramatma, there is Jagat, there is Karma, there is Jnana, this is Bhakti. Once again he started. No, well, that is what Bhagavan will do. But here Uddhava is not like that. Even before receiving the teaching, he says, hey Krishna, I cannot, don't leave me behind, hey Krishna. Naham tavangri kamalam kshanardham api Keshava tyaktum samutsahe natha swadhaman ayamam api. Hey Natha, you are my Natha. How can I stay here? How can I, you are my very prana. This is, once again, we are reminded of the Gopi Bhava. Gopi Bhava, Uddhava is also influenced by the Gopis. He learned from the Gopis. And therefore here he says, Swadhama Nayamamapi, I will also come with you. Don't leave me. You are going to Vaikuntha, I will also come with you, along with you. Tava vikriditam Krishna nrinam paramamangalam karna piyushamasadya tyajanti anyaspraham janaha. Tava vikriditam Krishna. Hey Krishna, either you should have just come down, descended, you should have finished your job, and you should have just gone back. Why did you do all these cheshtitas, hey Krishna? What is this? It is unfair of you. You should have just come, shoot Kamsa, shoot Duryodhana, shoot all the wicked people. When it is dark, nobody notices. Dharma is arrested. You should have gone back. What you ended up doing? You did so many cheshtitas. Tava vikriditam Krishna nrinam paramamangalam. Thereby, with all your krida that you did, you have started attracting us like a magnet. And now, after attracting us, you are saying, goodbye, I'm going to go. How can you leave us behind like this, hey Krishna? Karuna piyushamasadya. He says, all your cheshtitas, your Krishna Leela is an intoxicating beverage for the ears. No. We also need some intoxicating beverage now and then. For some it is tea and coffee. For some it takes, some become spiritual with the spirit. But all of us need some intoxication. Spiritual journey. Some are on a spiritual journey all the time. Luckily, many of us are spiritual, but with tea and coffee. Now here he says, your leelas are intoxicating, he says. Bhagavan is intoxicating. We don't need any other intoxicant. Uddhava gives us a very important message. We are all searching for various kinds of intoxicants in this world, only to be frustrated. Because every worldly intoxication ultimately frustrates us. The worldly intoxication deceives us. The world maker intoxication reveals. Worldly intoxication blinds us and binds us. Worldly intoxication energizes us, elevates us, and liberates us. So therefore, hey Krishna, your cheshtitas are so intoxicating, it is now impossible for me to even think of a moment that you are not around. And Bhagavan, don't leave me like this. No, now he is submitting himself and he is crying out, Krishna, and this again shows that loud cry of separation. Uddhava is unable to bear. And Uddhava also says, Sayyasanata sthana snana kridasanadishu katham tvam priyam atmanam vayam bhaktas tajemahi. Uddhava, why Uddhava is such a supreme bhakta? Shayya, when I am lying down. Asana, when I am sitting. Athana, when I am walking. Sthana, when I am standing. Snana, when I am bathing. Krida, when I am taking any recreation. Ashana, when I am eating. Adishu, any other activity that I do, I am always immersed. And in your bhakti, I am always absorbed in you, hey Krishna. Katham tvam, because why? You are priya atmanam. He uses a beautiful word here, priya atmanam. Yeah, he's a Paramatma, yes, but he is also priya atma. Why Uddhava uses that specific phrase here, priya atma? Possibly for the first time we see a reference to Paramatma as priyamatma. Uddhava is a great bhakta. And he is a great jnani. Uddhava knows Krishna is all pervading. Uddhava knows he is omnipresent. Uddhava knows he also dwells in the heart as Paramatma. Still he is crying out to Krishna not to leave him. You have to understand. Arjuna asked a question. This is what we discussed yesterday in the 12th chapter. Evam satatayuktaye bhaktastvam paryupasate. Echapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vitthamaha. Who is the yoga vitthama? Hey Bhagavan, the one who fixes the mind on your beautiful enchanting form and is totally absorbed in you with love, or the one who seeks your avyakta akshara form, your omnipresent all-pervading form. Who is the yoga vittama? Arjuna had that doubt. Uddhava had no doubt. Because Uddhava knows Krishna is omnipresent. He can seek Krishna everywhere. Uddhava knows Krishna is within his heart. He can seek him as his Paramatma. But more than Paramatma, he wants the Priyamatma. This more than that, the more than being knowing him in a way that inspires awe and reverence, he wants that sweet, loving, enchanting form of Krishna to be always his mind fixed on that. So therefore, as I said yesterday, as Krishna says, te prapnuvanti mameva, even those who seek the unmanifest form of Krishna eventually reach Krishna. Now, when I seek light, that eventually leads me to the lamp. So why not travel with the lamp all the time, especially when the lamp happens to be reciprocating love and guiding me all the time. Krishna is there as the lamp and as the light. The Uddhava knows this. Therefore, while Uddhava knows Krishna is everywhere, Krishna is right in his heart, but he still cannot bear separation from Krishna, that beautiful, divine, Divya Mangala Vigraha of Krishna. The fact that Krishna is going to ascend, he is unable to accept that. He says, Yadattamam Mahabhag. This is Bhagavan Uvacha, but carried away. Therefore, Uddhava makes the submission. Do not leave me, hey Krishna. Now Krishna smiles. Now what will Krishna do? For any question asked, he can smile. And he knows it is inevitable. Krishna is someone who is known always to move on. And Uddhava knows that too. But Uddhava is trying one last time. And Krishna smiles. Hey Uddhava, you already sensed what's going to happen. But in spite of that, you are making the submission. He says, hey Uddhava, I have a message for you. Bhagavan Uvacha. Yadattamam Mahabhaga Tachikishyatameva me Brahma Bhavaha Lokapalaha Swarvasam me Abhikankshinaha. As you know, Brahma, Shiva, all the devatas, they have approached me in Dwaraka. They have submitted that I must prepare to make my ascent, to go back. Now that my avatar, the mission of my avatar is fulfilled, therefore it is true. What you have guessed is true. Tachikishyatam evava. The program that I am desiring to execute, you have already guessed, Uddhava. Very good. Well done. Well done. He is here. He is grieving. Krishna is now congratulating him. Well done, Uddhava. Very nicely you have found out. That's exactly what I am doing. But let me also tell you, hey Mahabhaga, from the days are numbered for the Yadavas. The days are numbered for Dwaraka. And therefore, you should not be around here. I am not going to be around here. Krishna is not answering Uddhava's question whether he can come with me to Vaikuntha. He is giving him instructions now. I am not going to be here around. You also cannot be here around. So Uddhava felt some good news coming. I said, no, you still will be in Bhuloka. Not a time for you to come to Vaikuntha. I have a mission for you. And your mission is that you must renounce everything here. This is where Krishna is teaching the ultimate truth of renunciation to Uddhava. You must renounce, because everything here is going to crumble, come down to shambles. And therefore, Tvam tu sarvam parityajya sneham swajana bandhushu mayyaveshya manah samyak samadrika vichashavagga. Tvam tu sarvam parityajya. Just like how I have done, Uddhava, it is not enough that you look exactly like me. You must do what I have also done. You must also renounce everything. Sneham swajana bandhushu. You have to give up all the relationships that you have. Now, again, this is not giving up. This is Atma bandhutva. It is giving up Deha bandhutva. Renounce everything. Mayyaveshya manah samyak. And how can you renounce everything? Fixing. When you attach to me, you will detach from everything else very easily. What Krishna said in the 7th chapter, even before Uddhava Gita started, he already is told. So we see how the flow of but again, he will rewind and go back. Don't worry. Again, we'll go to Karma Yoga. He will, all that is going to happen again. But knowing Uddhava as an advanced, bhakta, he says, Mayyaveshya manas samyak samadrik vicharashrava. Samadhik, again, 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. I may not be here, but you can still stay connected with me. When you look around, everything is my Vibhuti. Uddhava, you know this, and therefore give up everything, renounce everything. And by renouncing everything, you will be able to survive. And then he says, Yadidam manasa vacha chakshurbyam shavanadibihi nashvaram grihyamanam cha vidhi mayo manomayam. Very profound shloka that Krishna gives, a profound message here right at the beginning. He says, immediately the question that Uddhava or all of us will ask, you said swajanam basically you said sneham swajana bandhusu parityajya, renounce everything, all relationships. How would I do that? He says, yadidam manasa vacha chakshubhyam shravadadibihi nashvaram grihyamanam cha vidhi. Arjuna, in spite of being Arjuna, occupies our mind. Unfortunately, Uddhava, possibly after another 10 years, we'll say Uddhava, not Arjuna. Not 10 years. Let's stay to a shorter term. Yadidam manasa vacha chakshubhyam shravanadibihi nashvaram grihyamanam cha. Hey Uddhava, know that whatever is grasped, grihyamanam, whatever is grasped by yadidam, whatever, manasa, by the mind, vacha, by the speech, chakshuhu, by the eyes, shravanadibihi, by all the indriyas and the mind, whatever is grasped, nashwaram, is impermanent, is perishable. First, you must understand that, Uddhava. The moment you understand this reality, then vidhi, and one more important understanding of this, everything that you see around this world, maya manomayam. This entire world is maya manomayam. Very important to understand this phrase. What is maya manomayam? Mayam means anything that is made of. So this, everything that you see, everything that you perceive, this world essentially is maya manomayam. It can be understood in two ways, made of maya and mana. Maya, maya, manomaya, maya, manomayam. So everything that you see is made of maya. Maya is what? Prakriti. Maya is Prakriti. And everything that you see is made up of Prakriti. And everything that you see is made up of mana. How it is made up of mana? Because when we say the world, we are living in a world, we must ask this question, which world are we living in? Because my world is different to your world. Your world is different to her world. There may be one physical world, but each of us live in our own worlds. Because this manas, makes up its own world. And in that world, we are all heroes and heroines. We are at the very center. And the world runs only because of us. Everything runs in that world because of us. That's what we think. Because it is all made up. It's like a bubble that is about to burst anytime. So therefore, maya manomayam, made up of maya, made up of mind. Also, another way to understand, made up of mana, which is also a product of maya. Made up of mana. This manas is also a product of Prakriti. It is also a product of three gunas. And therefore, the world as experienced by you is essentially mind mediated. It is essentially mind mediated, and therefore it is impermanent, it keeps changing, and you cannot depend on it. You cannot depend on something which is fabricated by your mind. What is important here to realize here is maya manomaya, maya should not be translated as unreal. World is not unreal. There is a difference between Brahma, Mithya, Maya. Brahma means illusion. Illusion in the mind is called Brahma. Mithya, opposite of what is real, something which is false, is Mithya. Maya The term word Maya, the root Ma, means measure. Why? But which means Maya means Prakriti is called Maya because it is Prakriti that takes form. It is matter which has form. All the forms and the names that we see are all products of Prakriti. And therefore, this Maya, Manomaya, is subject to changes all the time. It is transient. It is dependent on each and everyone's nature of the mind. I see someone and I say, oh, so beautiful. Somebody else sees the same object, says, oh, disgusting. Here, the object is real, but the beauty or the disgust is a product of the various minds. So, therefore, depending on that mind created world is therefore so very dangerous. We are all dependent on this mind created world and we get carried away by that. And we live our entire life in that world. We end up living entire life in a world which is fabricated by our own mind, not realizing what is really real. And therefore, Krishna here says, Nashwaram Grihyamanam cha Vidhi Maya Manomayam. Here realize this entire world as Maya Manomaya. Therefore, all the bodily relationships are also Maya Manomaya. Therefore, the moment you realize this, hey Uddhava, then you would be able to easily disassociate. The moment I know something is only temporary, something is impermanent, something is going to change all the time, I am not going to pin everything, my happiness on that. And therefore, I will be able to then look at where should I fix my mind, which is going to be the source of everlasting happiness. What is that which is truly permanent? What is that which is truly everlasting? And the moment I know that which is everlasting, the source of all attractiveness, the source of all beauty, the source of all bliss, waiting in the form of Krishna, Uddhava, the moment you turn your mind and fix, then you will detach from this world which is Maya Manomaya. Uddhava is pleased with Krishna's message and instruction, and then he addresses Yogesha, Yoga Vinyasa, Yogatman, Yoga Sambhava, Nishreyasayame Proktaha, Tyagaha, Sanyasa Lakshana. Tyagaha, Sanyasa Lakshana was the discussion between Arjuna and Krishna in which chapter? Tyaga, Sanyasa, 18th chapter. Moksha Sanyasa Yoga, 18th chapter. Now, while we go through Uddhava Gita, we will also have regular quizzes. The answers also will be given to you, don't worry. Here he says, Tyagaha Sanyasa Lakshanaha. You have taught me the very essence of Tyaga. In one shloka, the very essence of Tyaga is taught. He says, which this Tyaga bears the very hallmark of what is Sannyasa, which means Sannyasa is not external renunciation, it is inner renunciation. It is freedom from the world, which is Maya, Manomaya. Therefore, Yogesha, Yoga Vinyasa, Yogatman, Yoga Sambhava. Some more beautiful namas for Krishna. One thing we can keep doing. The way Uddhava keeps addressing Krishna, we start noting all of them down, that becomes another Sahasranama. Again, we can be eternally thankful to Uddhava because he being such a supreme bhakta, the way he keeps talking to Krishna, so very beautiful. And therefore he says, you are Yoga Sambhava, yoga arises from you, you are Yogatman, yoga is sustained by you, you are Yoga Vinyasa, yoga is taught by you, you are Yogesha, you are Yogeshwara. And therefore, Nishreyasayame Proktaha, you have given me, you have taught me what is truly good, what is Nishreyasakara, and you have taught me what is the very essence of Tyaga, which bears the Lakshana of Sannyasa. Renunciation is clarity in thought. not rejection of the world, but renunciation is living in the world with a clarity that I will stay attached to the world maker and detached from the world. Renunciation is recognizing that the mind is a factory of bondage, and I will start strike in this factory of bondage, and I will gain freedom from this. It is a freedom in a shift, in the shift of our perception. The renunciation has to start. The journey of renunciation starts with a shift in our perception. What is a shift in our perception? When we start seeing things, perceiving things, we must not be deceived. We must know the real appearance behind those appearances that come to us as stimuli. So renunciation starts with a shift in the perception. It matures with a shift in a perspective, understanding the nature of reality. So therefore here, tyagaha sannyasa lakshanaha. And he therefore says, Tasmat bhavantam anavadyam anantaparam sarvajnam ishwaram akunta vikunta dishnam nirvidnadir ahamuver vijanabhitaptaha narayanam narasakam sharanam prapadye. What a wonderful shloka this is. Maybe we can do one session on this shloka alone. I'm not saying another 1 hour. We're going to conclude now. Tasmat bhavantam anavadyam anantaparam sarvajnam ishwaram akunta vikunta dishnam nirvidnadihi ahamuhe vrajanabhitaptaha. Hey Bhagavan, I am now in distress of the tapatrayas, which are the kind of afflictions. Because I am embodied, I cannot escape these afflictions. Once in a while, my knee will want attention. Once in a while, my hand will want an attention. After 40s, it's not once in a while, no? Maybe it's every day. every day, one part of the body is calling for attention, and that is, embodied beings cannot avoid afflictions. If not physical affliction, body is physically fit, perfect. But somewhere in the corner of the mind, one thought starts and becomes a tsunami, mental afflictions. So therefore, I am now imprisoned with all these afflictions. Nirvidnadi ahamuhe vrajanabhi taptaha. No, I am now in this state of distress. You alone can help me. You have said that I must renounce everything. But I know, no. What Arjuna did not know, Uddhava knew. Arjuna did not know. When Krishna said, you have to renounce with the sword of detachment. 15th chapter. What is the shloka? Sword of detachment. Narupamasyeha tato na labhyate nanto na chadir nacha sampratishta ashpattamenam suvirudha moolam asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. Then Arjuna did not know, how can I, with a sword of detachment, keep cutting the deep-rooted karma which is innumerable? It is impossible for me. What do I do? What did Krishna give the solution as? What was the solution? Tatah padam tat parimargidarbhyam yasmin gatana nivattanti boyah tameva chadyam purusham prapadhye. Surrender. Then and there. Essentially delegate cutting of the deep-rooted roots of samsara, the Ashwatha tree, to Krishna. Now, Arjuna was told, Uddhava is already performing. Uddhava surrenders. Narayanam narasakam sharanam prapadye. Hey Narayana, hey Narasaka, I am surrendering to a lotus feet. You asked me to renounce everything. It is now up to you. You do what is best, and I know you will do the best. Here, the Ashwatha tree example that Krishna was giving in the Gita, symbolically, Uddhava's conversation with Krishna was happening under an Ashwatha tree in the Prabhasa Kshetra. Uddhava Gita continues under this. In the case of Kurukshetra, Krishna was in a hurry because the armies were already assembled. There was no such hurry here. Uddhava was patient, Krishna was patient. Krishna said, we have all the time, hey Uddhava, let's settle down under this banyan tree. Let's have this glorious conversation. And the conversation continued, and that is the outcome, is the nectarine Uddhava Gita. Let us take this opportunity on this auspicious day of Mahalaya Amavasya, that Bhagavan willed, Krishna's will, his kripa, that we are able to begin this auspicious journey. Uddhava Gita is not easy. Uddhava Gita is going to be a struggle for me and for you. More than Bhagavad Gita, there are lots of metaphysical complexities that we are going to encounter. But with Krishna's Kripa, we will see how magic happens, how we will unravel, decode the teachings of Krishna, and we will immerse ourselves for some more time. I don't want to say how much more time. Divyaji is not around. I will discuss with her and then decide. We will see. But together, let us chant. Tasmad bhavantam anavadhyam anantaparam sarvajñamishwaram akunta vikunta dishyam nirbidnadihi amuhe prajanabhitaptaha Narayanam narasakam sharanam prapadye Narayanam narasakam sharanam prapadye Narayanam narasakam sharanam prapadye Narayanam narasakam sharanam prapadye. Jai Sri Krishna.